All right, so HBV serology. What the hell is even going on? Why does everything sound like everything else? There's a HBs, there's a HbE, there's anti-HBs, there's anti-HbE, there's a HbC somewhere thrown in there. What the hell is going on, right? And why are we learning this, right? It doesn't make any sense. Well, really basic idea we can pull from this movie, The Core, in the 90s. What's The Core? Core is this janky movie in like the 90s that came out with like a whole bunch of people. It was a really dumb premise, but again, the idea was trying to drill to the center of the earth to blow something up and do whatever, right? So they're starting out over here where the city is, and then they're going down, all the way down in the core and whatever, drama. Harvey Dent is in it. $1 Million Baby is in it. The cop from that Nick Cage movie where they have to steal all the, the cars. Stanley Tucci was Gucci. This Russian dude and this dude who looks like he'd be Russian, all in the movie, right? Fire movie, was not that fire. Anyway, but basically, basic premise is they start off on the surface, okay, and then they have to go from the surface, okay, drill through that, get into the envelope, okay, drill through that, get into the core, right? So they're basically just gonna go through, okay, come out through the other side. Wonderful, right? So that's the basic idea of the movie, right? And that's the basic idea of what also happens in HBV. You start off, the first marker you'll detect is HBS for surface, you see that? HbE, when the E stands for envelope, and HbC, okay? And then you'll get the core, and then you'll get the opposite of that, actually. So if you go back here, what you'll see is they're going to drill through the surface, okay? Come out through the envelope, the core, and then they're going to come out on the other end of the envelope and on the other end of the surface, right? So again, that's what's happening, right? Interesting side note, if you were a real person in the real world, what you would want to do is, if you start off on this end of the earth, you'd fly to the other side, which is what happens when we give people vaccines. But let's just say you actually got infected and you go through the whole thing and you actually drill through the core of the earth and you get all this shebang stuff going on, right? So what's going to happen? The first thing we're going to see is, again, surface, right? So HBS. So you notice here, months after exposure, the first thing, this from the WHO, whatever. You'll notice that the first thing you're going to see is, right, HBS, surface antigen, right? And again, you're starting off on the surface and you're drilling through. What's going to be the second thing that pops up, right? The envelope right here. So you see that right there, okay? And then we're going to get to the core, right? So what's going to happen in the core? And you'll notice once we get to the core, we did the job, we blew up the thingy, we saved the earth, right? And that's where we start seeing this for antibody, okay? So that's when we'll start seeing antibodies. And then the antibodies are we're gonna come out through the other end, and we're gonna have the same thing over here, right? You see this HbE, but it's the antibody now, and the same thing with the surface. So you'll come out in that order. And so if you follow here, and you follow all these little lines, you'll see that that's actually the sequence in which they pop up as well. So yeah, so that's the basic premise of what's happening in HBV serology. It doesn't matter.
Dude, I watched a Bruce Willis movie today. It was called The Last Boy Scout.
Interesting side. Do you think Die Hard is a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
I think Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.